All right, we're going to do some unit conversions. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. Um, you could just choose to multiply or divide depending on which way you're going, whether you're going from a smaller to larger unit. You um, would divide. If you're going from a larger to smaller unit, you would multiply. The problem there is often getting the two mixed up. You could do a proportion, which is a great way of doing it. I'm actually going to show a little unit converter with my example. And we're going to start with, say, 12 quarts are how many pints? And obviously, there are a ton of these conversions that you would just have to know. In some cases, you may have to memorize them. In other cases, you may be given the converter. But I'm going to write 12Q. That's what we're given, with Q obviously is short for quarts. Go ahead and underline that and put a 1, which doesn't change the value. And what I'm going to do is multiply this by a fraction whose value is 1. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. But what you want to do, whatever unit you have here, you want to match it down there. Okay. And then whatever unit you're trying to change to, pints, you want to put it right here. I'll put P. And the reason you do that is the quarts will cancel and it leaves you with pints. Okay. But you have to know the converter. The converter is 2 pints makes 1 quart. Now, you can't just put the 2 wherever. It has to be, in this case, 2 pints is 1 quart. It's not true that 2 quarts is 1 pint. Now, the value of this fraction is actually 1 because 2 pints and 1 quart are the same thing. 2 pints divided by 1 quart, therefore, it'd be 1. And when you multiply by 1, it doesn't change the value. In other words, we're not changing the value of 12 quarts. We're just changing the units of 12 quarts. It's still going to be the same amount of liquid. You don't really have to know what I just said, but it's helpful to understand why this works. At this point, we just multiply straight across. 12 times 2 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1. Notice that your units are going to be pints. So it's my answer. Okay. And you may have been proactive. In some cases, we had these 1s down here, which wouldn't affect anything. So 12 quarts is equivalent to 24 pints. Now let's say that, give you a second problem. Maybe a little more familiar with this, 60 feet. Check that. Let's do 60 inches. 60 inches is how many feet? Okay. So using the same process, 60 inches, that's my problem, over 1. Whatever unit you see here, put it on the bottom. Wherever unit you're introducing, put it on the top. Look up the conversion. In this case, 12 inches is equivalent to 1 foot. And just cancel. Again, we're multiplying by something whose value is 1, but this time the 12 is on the bottom. So when I multiply straight across, I get 60 feet over the number 12. So now I'm prompted to divide, and that's going to give me 5 feet. So 60 inches is equivalent to 5 feet. So with this method, it may seem a little bit overkill, but it does save you from having to know whether you multiply or divide. Now, finally, I'm going to show you a third problem here. What if we're trying to find out, if I'm going down the road at, say, 55 miles per hour, what would that be in feet per second? Okay. This is a little bit harder, but it's the same principle. This time I say 55 miles. I'll say M. I'll just say M for miles here. Divided by 1 hour. Okay, so our 1 actually has a unit on it. 55 miles in 1 hour. Now I'm trying to get rid of miles. So what I want to do is multiply by a fraction with m on the bottom. Trying to introduce feet instead of miles, so I put feet here. I'll look up the conversion. There's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. That would cancel your miles. Okay. So now I'm feet per hour. So we need to get rid of hours because we want seconds. So I need a third fraction. Hours is on the bottom. So to cancel this time, I need to go up top, or else it won't cancel. Seconds on the bottom. 1 hour is equivalent to 60 60s or 3,600 seconds. 60 minutes an hour, 60 seconds per minute. So it's 3,600. And that causes your hours to cancel. Okay. So if I multiply straight across here, I get 55 times 5280. That is 290,400, 290,400 feet. Run out of room there. That's feet over 36. So I'm going to divide by 3,600. Okay, and that gives you 81.6 feet per second.